Hi, and welcome to Art Laughs. I'm Verity Babs, and today I spoke to Jenny Eclair. We're rolling. I'm very, very pleased to be joined by Jenny Eclair today. Jenny, please
You said
introduce
Jelly
yourself.
Eclair. You call me Jelly Eclair then. I'm Jenny Eclair. Oh, look, you great wobbly Jelly Eclair. Fatso Jelly Eclair. Anyway, it's lovely to talk to you, Verity, about art. Because you accosted me. Not accosted, that sounds terrible.
I slightly accosted you.
Yeah, you did a bit. You made me jump down a back alley in Peckham.
That's where anyone watching this can find me.
It was a very fashionable thing, wasn't it? We were at Copeland Park, which is one that people don't know Peckham. Where have you been? And it's this sort of industrial estatey thing, wasn't it? And my partner had a stall selling vintage posters.
Yes, Copeland Park's one of those places where people who've grown up in Peckham sort of raise and shake their fists at the gentrification of it, because it is an old industrial estate.
There was a food snack bar there in Copeland Park when I was there. And literally, I didn't understand anything that was on the menu. I was like a baby having to ask. And it was delicious. I mean, all it was in the end, it was a vegetarian thing, or probably vegan, because it was quite hardcore. And it was just chopped up lettuce with an extraordinary dressing. I mean, it was very nice. I was a bit hungry about half an hour later, but you know, it was a taste sensation. I ate things in Copeland Park I've never had before. Anyway, it was nice meeting you. We're doing this now. And you asked me to choose a painting, didn't you?
I have, and you've chosen an absolute corker.
Oh, I hope you like it. Do you like it? Have you seen it before?
I've never come across her or his work.
He's not hugely well known because he's a Frenchman, and his name is Theodore Roussel. I don't speak any French at all. I apologise if I mispronounce that. Now, I only know this painting because one of my favourite places to go sort of pre-COVID and post-COVID, once, you know, now we're allowed into galleries, is Tate Britain. I much prefer Tate Britain to Tate Modern, which I find slightly overwhelming. I'm also very lazy, and if you go on a Sunday, people won't thank me for saying this, but you can drive there and you can park round the back. Anyway, obviously we should all be cycling, but should you have a car and just think, oh, I can't be asked to do, I'm going to drive. Anyway, I like Tate Britain. I like that chronological walk through the years of art, you know, where you sort of start very early on and then he goes through the sort of 30s. I like the 30s room. I like the 40s room. I like everything. But there's this painting and it's called The Reading Girl. And as I said, by Theodore Roussel, and it is in one of the rooms, and it's quite high up. And I always go to see her because she's like my girl. I always go to see my girl, and she's a nude. She's a very casual nude. But unlike a lot of nudes, which are very passive, she is very much owning her nudity, and she's reading a book. She's a beautiful brunette reading a book, hence the title, The Reading Girl, in a sort of wooden, I think it's a campaign chair, a bit like a deck chair. And there's a silk kimono hanging off the back of this deck chair. And she is just so unapologetic about her own nakedness and so glorious in it. And she's flawless as well. And I don't know whether you've read up about this painting or had a look at it.
I thought of myself as relatively clued up about kind of late 19th century nudes and that kind of thing. I think that's why when I first opened the link to this, that I was so surprised, because it does feel very other to the kind of 19th century nudes that we're used to, of sort of being quite coy by a rose and also being pretending to be medieval.
It's very modern in it, and it's slightly it's been described as slightly Japanese in the way that it's styled. I'm not really that sure about that. I think that it was painted in 1886. Now, my history is very poor, and I'm glad you said late 19th century, because I'm always scrabbling. Before you said that, I was thinking, oh, God, what was the year? What was the year? I've made some notes. And what is interesting, if people look this painting up, and I hope they do, because she is such a fabulous creature, and she has a story. And, you know, you just think, oh, why? I want to see the story on the telly. Because her name is Hetty Pettigrew, which for starters is a brilliant name.
Yeah.
And of course, she was a muse, so possibly had maybe some slaggy tendencies, I'm not sure. And she had two sisters as well, called Rose and Lily, and they were all models for painters, well-known painters. Millet did them, and Whistler. So that they were kind of faces about town to paint. And of course, Hetty got it on with Theodore Rossell and was his mistress for quite a while and had a daughter by him. I think it was a child anyway. She is one of my favourite paintings. I mean, I don't really have a favourite painting that sticks with me forever and ever. I don't know what you're like. I go through phases.
Yeah. Yeah, there are certainly certain pieces that, I don't know, if they come up in a book or something, I'll sort of slightly feel like they're mine. Like, I guess Hearst Shark, that's mine. Sort of possessive about them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of very familiar with a lot of quite big artworks because, as I say, I live with a man who deals in 20th century prints, and so via him, I have a small amount of knowledge. I mean, I didn't go to art school. I'm a terrible Sunday afternoon painter. I'm actually wearing my painting apron as we Zoom at the moment because I'm doing a water lily in acrylics on my kitchen table. It will be dreadful, I can guarantee that. Very, very self-taught and struggling to find my own style. But, throughout our relationship, Jeff and I, gallery going has been a huge, huge part of our relationship. And I've seen art all over the world, and when you say Damien Hirst Shark, I have obviously seen that in the flesh, and I love a bit of Damien Hirst. I love a bit of Tracy Emin, and I like a lot of the YBAs, and I like a lot of the very popular big names. I love a bit of Hockney. I'd love to be able to get into the big Royal Academy show at the moment, but it's so booked out.
Yeah.
But if you want a great tip for a female artist that has a wonderful exhibition out at the moment, and we're recording this in the middle of June, I think it's on hopefully for quite a number more weeks. Do you know Eileen Agar? Well, you love Eileen Agar, and all your listeners and followers will love Eileen Agar because she's quite bonkers. She was a very posh girl, and her mother used to send Rolls Royce to pick her up from the Slade. But we won't hold that against her. And she was a sort of female surrealist. Now, I don't like surrealism at all, but she became quite famous for wearing the Bouillabaisse hat, which was a hat she made with lots of fish on it. And she did a lot of seascapey surrealism later on in her career, but her earlier paintings are wonderful. And she has this exhibition on at the Whitechapel Gallery at the moment, and it is the best thing I've seen since before lockdown. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to see. I'd seen little bits and quite sort of black and white photographs and things. I thought it might be quite subdued, and it's just a blaze of colour. It really is. And I love colour. There's a lot of colour in The Reading Girl.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think that makes it seem so modern, is that I think it's easy to generalise kind of colour coming into art at the point of pop art, and that's when we discovered that you could do colours that weren't just brown. So seeing anything that is pre-1900 that is bright, I think immediately throws us off, because so much is muted and lovely landscapes and sort of. I
think a lot of people would look at The Reading Girl and think it was probably 1930s because she has quite a 1930s body as well.
It's quite Art Deco.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the chair, the kimono, the tits and the limbs and the everything. It's that sort of, that slightly Germanic, rather Eric Gill kind of. I mean, we must
sort of Bob Fosse kind of.
Yeah, but slightly more rounded. Fosse girls are a bit sinewy.
I don't think I'd trust a Fosse girl. I don't think I'd trust her.
No, if you can dance Fosse dances, you're not to be trusted. It is the best dancing, though. I mean, when I was much younger and I was quite thin, thanks to an eating disorder, which I, have got over rather too well. when I used to get on the tube when I first landed in London, and I used to pretend to be a chorus dancer in going into town to do a West End show. I used to stand on the tube with my feet at right angles to each other in sort of third, fifth position or whatever it is. And I used to stand very erect and hold the strap on the tube with my neck as long as I could make it. And I used to hope that everybody on the tube would look at me and think, oh, she must be a dancer. Look at that girl. She has dance qualities.
That's so brilliant. Also, when you first came to London, I'm not mistaken that you were doing life modelling as well.
Yes.
So despite not going to art school, you sort of did ingratiate yourself in, I suppose, a kind of art scene.
I so ingratiated myself, yes, because I then became friends with the girl that ran the bar, and she gave me cut price drinks, so that was great. I was a life model at Camberwell Art School for probably only a year or something. So, you know, there are attics in SE5 that are full of very young me's with no clothes on. I was very lazy, in fact. It was a lazy kind of, you know, it was either life modelling or waitressing, and I quite enjoyed just sort of sitting doing nothing. And again, I was at the time had an eating disorder, so it was quite an interesting model. And I've always been quite flexible, so people did quite like drawing me.
I've done bits and pieces of life modelling since I came to London, and it was something that I was thinking about when you were speaking through Hetty and her life. Is that sort of what is the sort of future of being a life model? Because you used to be able to say, you know, oh well, in this piece, she is this person who also knew X person who also was in a relationship with whoever and sleeping with whoever. And now I'm not sure where the career of life modelling can go now with the internet. I did a life drawing class online where they just, you know, brought up a YouTube video of someone doing poses. Then obviously you can just pause them and not pay them, and everyone can.
I think that's terribly sad. Well, I think that, I mean, I try and retain some optimism about getting, you know, a lot of our old life back. And for me, that would include going to a class, because I'm a big fan of a class in whatever, you know, it could be a craft thing. It could be, I've done quite a lot of, you know, hopeless middle-aged lady art classes in Dulwich at the Picture Gallery, you know, beginners oils, etc., and had great life models. And I think that I do think it's a profession and a skill, and a good life model is so wonderful. And they really know what they're doing, and there's a circuit of them, and you will bump into the same life models in different places. And it's for a lot of people, it supplements other incomes. It supplements, you know, they could be artists themselves or performers, and it's just another thing that, you know, is another kick in the teeth for those kind of alternative industries that, you know, have always lived on the fringes. And you just go, oh, so does everybody have to do IT then? So are we all either going to be Uber delivery people, or are we all going to be, you know, something to do with computers?
Or that terrible government poster that said, you know, she doesn't know her next job is in IT. It's like, no, well, she's trained for 10 years to be a ballerina, so that's what she'll do.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
It is odd, the life modelling thing, because I remember I got some gigs through artists that I knew directly, and that was really fun. And I thought, well, I'll try and find some others. And you can go online and search for when people are listing. But obviously, most of the listings were, you know, seeking female life model, come to my basement at midnight and stuff like that. So it's an odd profession in that, and same as it's always been, is it's very hard to kind of regulate, which means
absolutely. And I've used it in because I write books. I've used it in the last novel I wrote, Inheritance. One of the characters sort of is a runaway and comes via a circuitous route, ends up back in Camberwell, posing in the 1960s for a gentleman's photography club. And there's not a single gentleman there, you know, they're all dirty old men in raincoats, you know. She has to wear sort of see-through baby doll things and pose with large stuffed animals, cuddly toys, etc. So that's all rather queasy. But I mean, I life modelled at Camberwell Art School, never any problem. But prior to that, when I was at drama school in Manchester, I did end up doing the odd class for some peculiar people, as you say, in a basement somewhere.
Yeah.
And you just go, okay, right, this is dodgy. I'm safe because all these people are actually very vulnerable themselves. They're all a bit weak, but I won't be coming back, that sort of thing.
A lot of hen do's, a lot of hen and stag do's seem to think that that'd be a really good activity to do together. But I don't think it.
It's right. That's a strange one. My daughter went to a hen night where it was drawing. It wasn't. I'm not sure. I don't think it was life drawing. But all her friends were really competitive, and they all went to the same school. They all went to Jags in Dulwich. So there was this sort of febrile atmosphere. Instead of it being a fun Prosecco-filled thing, there was this silence for an hour and a half as these pushy women tried to sort of do the best thing. I did a series on Channel 4 last year when we were in lockdown. I was very fortunate to get a TV gig because obviously all my live work just completely melted away. And I did a Channel 4 series called Draws Off, which kind of divided opinion. And I can understand why people were sort of horrified to some extent at the idea of it. But I loved doing it so much. And the people were so wonderful, and it was just such great fun. It was life drawing with a twist. So you'd have 5 people life drawing, and the twist was that one of them every day had to take their turn.
They took it in turns. I remember it was a brilliant program.
It was so sort of non-nudie really. Everybody was draped and everybody was hidden behind curtains or whatever. I think a lot of people would have preferred to sort of been a bit more exposed, but Channel 4 daytime, 5:30, you can't see nipples. You're not allowed. And we've had absolutely no news as to whether there'd be a second series. So I think now that it's just one of those things that's just kind of, it happened. I was so glad to do it. It was a mad time for me. I was sort of in this hotel in Manchester and I wasn't allowed out, and, there was nothing open. Manchester was in full lockdown. But, we managed to make this television programme. It was because it was before the Kent version of the coronavirus was around. So it was people were wearing masks and visors and everything. And we did it all by social distancing, and nobody caught corona. We were very fortunate.
It's a good setup, I suppose, a drawing class to be able to have people be so far apart from each other.
Yeah, everyone had a station. There was the models podium. They were there. And then, the artists were all segregated and in their own little, not pods, but they were, at their workstations.
Thank you so much for coming on the programme today. Is there anything that you would like to plug or tell us where we can follow you if we're not already?
Well, I'm on Twitter. I'm not very good on Instagram. I am on it, but it's a bit. I'm a wordy person. I'd like people to read my books. I think that if you want to read about life modelling, actually 2 books are mine. I think it's a bit of a theme. 2 of the novels have got life modelling in, Inheritance and Moving. So if you want novels with life models in, I've written 2. You can read both of them. So thank you very much. And Verity, lovely to see you again, and all the best with everything. Maybe I'll bump into you another time in Peckham.
I'll find you in another alley.
It cost me down another alleyway.
Well, cheers for watching. You can follow Jenny in the ways written below. And as per usual, you can follow me at VerityBabsArt on Instagram. Make sure you're giving us a subscribe and a like, etc. And I will see you next time.